Obviously, I wanted everything to digest from yesterday. I had to pick up my little girl. Ava was in Prince Edward Island with Gail and Fred and everybody for, how long were you there for? A week? 8 days?
10.
10 days. For 10 days. And as I said, I just wanted to digest everything that went on yesterday. As many of you know, I mean, sure, if you're watching this video, you're not oblivious to what took place on Saturday, which was, I was going to say unprecedented, but with Air Canada, it's very precedented. There was some extreme weather here. There was a tornado alert in Guelph when I left for the airport. There was torrential rain. But through all that, there was no talk of delaying the flight. It was only till about an hour before we were going to board. They delayed it a little bit. And at the time, I didn't care because I had lots of time. For the first time, or one of the few times in my life, I'd been somewhere hours before I needed to be. So I sat and waited. No real stress at all. They delayed it again, which only meant Maid Marian's was out of the question. No steak sandwich for me. But there was no issue with me getting to the track. We got on the plane. I literally got on the plane at 6:30. We were going to fly out. I was going to get there at 9 or something, 9:30 or something. And they told us to get off the plane.
How did they do that?
Well, they said because there was... the problem is that everybody that works for Air Canada is on a timer. And the FAA, so the Federal Aviation Administration, I think that's it, has rules. You're only allowed to work for so long. And the first officer, now I don't know how they didn't know this before, but the first officer would have timed out in mid-flight. So they had to call in another first officer. He was coming from home. So they delayed it to 7:10. Still puts me in Prince Edward Island at 10:10. In fact, if I land on time, I have just enough time to eat a donair on the way to the track. And then the worst happened 15 minutes later. They told us that it was delayed. I wouldn't land till 11:03. I even called the racetrack and asked them how much drag there actually would be. What I mean by drag is, do you really mean 11 o'clock post time, or do you mean by the time the races get drug a little bit, it was going to be 11:30? As it turned out, it was 11:25 is when they went behind the gate. But just to rub a little more salt in the wounds, they delayed it an extra 15 minutes, which meant I couldn't get there. I watched the plane on the tracker app land at 11:27. That would have been exactly 2 minutes, or exactly when the horses were going under the wire. So it was obviously devastating for me and upsetting, but as I wrote on Facebook today to the young man that drove the horse, Adam Murner, one, he did a great job, and two, I've been there. I've been that guy hoping that the planes were delayed. Would I get a chance to drive a horse? Hoping that somebody, their schedule was conflicted, and could I drive the horse? And in fact, I've driven lots of horses, good horses in my life, the exact same way. And I wrote to him this morning, I said, life is full of opportunities, and you have to be ready, because there's no guarantee you'll get them. And when you do get them, you have to be ready to seize the moment, and he certainly did last night. Now, the only difference of last night was Adam Murner had everything to lose, a little bit to gain, but everything to lose, and he drove the horse with incredible poise and professionalism. Me, I wasn't flying there to drop him in the 4-hole. I had nothing to lose, and I can assure you, if Austin Sorry had sat up on Larry Carr, there would have been a half unseen before in Charlottetown Driving Park's history. I can assure you of that. Now, Covered Bridge still would have jogged. And that falls under timing also, right? The draw. We all know now, we see enough draws, don't we? The draw means everything. Us drawing 8, him drawing in the middle of the gate, some more speed in the inside. Georgia Stratton only had to show up. Don't even worry about the fact that he's one of the best drivers in the East Coast and absolutely one of the best half-mile track drivers in the world. All he had to do is take a quick glance at the program and he knew what was going to happen. So Adam drove the horse great. The horse raced great. And you know what, I feel bad because we did have another horse in the race. Jason Hughes drove the horse great. Rock Shining Star needed a favorable draw. Save America could overcome it with his gate speed. Rock Shining Star can leave a bit, but still isn't the greatest on a half-mile track. And, he got out of gear. And in trial, not in trial one, he was good. When I drove him at Northfield Park, he was out of gear. We pulled his hobbles up, changed his gear, changed his shoeing. He was good. But is he good enough to beat a half-mile track specialist? Two of them, like Save America and Covered Bridge? No. He needed it. He did. He raced good. The Maritime horse finished second. He raced good. Scooped $12,000 right off our plate. But raced very, very well. So I was thoroughly pleased with the way both our horses raced. They're going to be good horses for us for a while. Save America will join Jason and I in Ohio. Rock Shining Star will join Harry Polton's barn in Ontario. He'll race at Mohawk for a little bit. And if he gets in a situation, God help me, if he gets in a situation where the trotters have got, where it's race him over his head, I will not hesitate to scoop him out of Ontario either. Now, I told everybody, I sent a video to Mohawk the other day, management. I don't want to send a big, long email. Who's going to read an email that's 8 paragraphs long? Well, I guess who's going to listen to a video that's 10 minutes long? Same thing. The gist of the video is simple. I can't buy horses for Ontario without the confidence they're going to get raced in the proper classes. And this isn't an Ontario problem. This is a horse racing problem. Mohawk is an opportunity to be on the front end. You need to know who is racing at your track. And it's different here because you're kind of walled off, right? Asking Northfield to do this doesn't have the same pop because they can come from Southern Ohio. They can come from Ontario. They can come from the Poconos. They can come from anywhere and race at Northfield. We're only 4, 5, 6 hours away. But Ontario, this is it. This is our bowl. These are the horses that are in it. I'd like to know who is in this province. And with the vast majority of online entering taking place, as I said, online, from week to week, you know what's in the province. So when you have that information, you can build real-time condition sheets that fit the horses in your jurisdiction. And even further to that, you can look and say, geez, we have 4 horses here that are racing in the optional 50 claimer, 60 claimer, whatever. We could fill a straight 50 or 60 claimer if we got 3 more of them. And guess what? We'd go out and get one. If you told me that this class will go full time, we would get a horse for it. But I have zero confidence in that happening at Mohawk. And that's not me being angry at Mohawk. That's just me telling me from my position, you're underutilizing the information that you have right in front of you. And a lot of the tracks don't have that information. You do. This is one of the more unique places that this could be implemented. And it could change the game. Because if you look at every jurisdiction, they all have shortages. I hear, even Ohio, I'll hear them say, oh, we don't have horse shortages. No, in Scioto you might not. But there are horse shortages everywhere. Everywhere. To say there isn't is either a lie or naive. We race horses everywhere. There are shortages everywhere. We have trouble getting our horses in at the Meadows and at Northfield. We've had classes that didn't go in Scioto that we entered, so there is shortages everywhere. Anyway, I sent them the video, and I hope they do something with it, because if there isn't something done, what you're going to see is 20 to 25 horses staying in Ontario full-time. And those will be babies training down, nominals 1, 2, 3, 4, and open horses. I'm not playing the middle condition game where where Yo Mister ends up in the preferred because the backup class or the 21,000 class didn't go. I'm just not doing it. I can't, and you could say, they could say, well, that's the class he fits. Perfect. No hard feelings. I'm not racing here anymore. I'm going to leave. He's not coming back. because I don't have the confidence to send him back. Because he might get raced in a proper class for 2 or 3 starts, but then you're back to the same old grind, up and down the ladder. And the ladder's missing some rungs on it, right? Missing some steps. So the 18s now have to race in the 21s or 24s because the 18 didn't fill. Or maybe the 21 didn't fill, maybe the 24 didn't fill, and you got to race in the 28,000 class. Or God forbid, we might use you in the preferred, but guess what? It's not a free-for-all, so it's a pretty soft bunch. I'm not playing that game, Owen. And this isn't the first time I've asked this. I wrote a blog about it twice in the last decade. This isn't just a now thing. I wrote about this 10 years ago. And maybe it wasn't important then, but it should be important now. Anyway, I've been very happy with the way the summer went, and as I said, I wanted to collect my thoughts last night. Obviously, I was deflated. I was angry. There were some shining points yesterday. Aunt Lily raced as good a race as she's ever raced. Looked great. Those are 2 of the best fillies in the division, and she was closing in on them. She raced awesome. Time is on my side. Just continues to be this emerging. Be careful the word I use. I'm just gonna say star. That's a little strong. I'll put it this way. He's in the deep end of the pool and he's swimming with them. And I know what Mark said about him yesterday. He said if he got away closer, he would have been much closer. He said, I don't want to say I'd beat James and Captain O'Mano, but I would have been right there with them. And maybe I would have beat them. Which is pretty interesting in its own right. And what I said to Mark was important also. I said this in 2 other videos. I said, well, I'll tell you what. Captain O'Mano is improving from what I can see over the last month. He's getting better. But a lot of those horses are as good as they are going to be right now. Right? They've been 4, 5, 6, 7 starts in a row where they've been the same. Time is on my side. It proves every time he steps foot on a racetrack. So who knows what he'll look like in the fall. So let's circle back to the start of the week. We had the 2 eliminations of the Gold Cup and Saucer. Rock Shining Star raced great. And Save America raced awesome. In fact, if you looked at all 3 eliminations, all things being equal, Save America is going to win the Gold Cup and Saucer. But then the draw came. The great equalizer. And we did not draw where we wanted to at all. It's unfortunate, but it's the way it is. That's what happened last night.
Next year.
Well, it was not always next year. Because every year is different. You can't assume that you're going to have a Save America every year. He raced great.
I'm the one. There's these people who made Fortify shirts and we were all standing in a big level and all the Save American people were all over here and I was with them.
It's alright.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to see their horse race good. Everybody wanted to see their horse race good. So Arison has been racing great in Kentucky. We're going to talk about all the horses. Arison has been racing great in Kentucky. We talk about this ridiculous weather. God, this weather's crazy right now.
Oh, it's white.
Grand Slam Dio, I thought, raced out of her skin and really turned the corner as a racehorse last week. I was thoroughly impressed with her. The Tron raced good, but Dr. Ucker wants to turn her out now, so she's heading home. That's all right. We need the stall anyway. Pickpocket raced amazing. Memory and Imagination made the rarest of rare breaks leaving the gate the other day, but I didn't realize, I felt a little silly. I didn't realize how hard the track was. When you go to Lexington, you just assume it's like a cloud, right? It's a different planet. But not always. Not always. I get down there, and it wasn't until somebody had said to me, "Do you see how hard the track was?" It never dawned on me. I'm like, we race in stone dust tracks. I mean, how hard could it be? And I remember, if you've ever been to Lexington, you stand in the grandstand, you sit in the grandstand, you can barely hear the horses go by. It's so soft. As I was walking into the grandstand, all I could hear were the horses all over the track. So it was really weird. And I was surprised, even more over to that Pickpocket raced as well as he did. He raced great. Memory and Imagination did make a little break, leaving from back trot. Trotted 54, got a check. I think he got a check, didn't he? Yeah, it was 4th and 5th. We got to see Captain Incredible race later in the day. He looked good. and I think that we can make some improvements on him. He's got to a bigger track now, bigger turns. Hopefully the track softens up a bit. And an impressive looking first start for Captain Incredible. He'll race next week again. Now, Wednesday was actually a really, really good day. Gorgeous Package put on a performance, man. She just continues to impress. We are going to race her in the next Sire Stake. She is punched her ticket, I believe, to the Buckeye Final. So we are going to take a run at that consolation for the fillies. She'll race her next start. I think it's September 1st in the... don't quote me on that date, but September 1st in the Sire Stake at Northfield Park. Rojan Alexander did not have a good week. That was not her the other day. She was a little weak. When I sized everybody up going into the first turn, I was more apt to let Aaron go, but Aaron's horse was pretty bumpy, and he really didn't want to be on the front. Dumped in behind me, and she got beat fair and square. She was third, raced well, and again, another filly that we'd love to see make the final of the Buckeye. She needs to come up with a good performance in her next two. Fire and Shine was a little flatter than I thought she'd be. I really thought that this filly would shine, but didn't come up to the gate well, didn't get away well. Did she have the same kind of bug that Alexandra had last week? It's very possible. She seemed fine the day after, so I'm sure she'll bounce back. And Militant crushed him. That was his last win that he had. That was his last start at Northfield. His last win. Now we're going to look at where we're going to go with Militant. I don't think back to Kentucky is the answer, but I do want to find a spot where he can be competitive. Is that Southern Ohio in the Nommers 10 claimer? I don't know. We have options. I mean, the horse just win in 56, come 28 seconds. He's a nice horse. We're going to find a spot for him. Where that spot is, I'm not positive just yet. Then we get into Thursday. I thought Country Dancing raced good. You know, speaking, this is a week, I guess, also cancellations. Well, the races were canceled. My flight was canceled. Terrible weather. And terrible weather in Illinois. The races were canceled for What a Lady, What a Night, and Allie's Got Grit. They'll race this week, I believe. Country Dancing raced great in Philadelphia. I talked to Scott quite a bit about that. Honestly, the highlight of Thursday was Ollie and I got to go watch Hootie and the Blowfish in Akron.
Yeah, I saw the post.
It was pretty cool.
What was it?
Hootie and the Blowfish, a little old for you, a little dated. But a great concert. It was a lot of fun. I got to watch Country Dancing race. Casanova Hall made a break behind the gate. He'll qualify on Tuesday, as I said to Tim. I think we can fix this guy. I'm not too worried about Casanova Hall at all. Here's my take. It wasn't that the horse wanted to run. I could see him come up to the gate. You know who used to make all these breaks? A very similar way was Eldise Patrick. Might be a little blast from the past for everybody, but a horse that I loved. And we shot him very, very similar to the way we had Patrick shot after the race. So we'll qualify him on Tuesday and see if that helps. Serious Dragon race good again. I was really pleased with him. The fillies race good. Resolve Indeed and Princess Dream. And a funny little tidbit. James won the Delmonica. Picked up the drive on her sister, Warwie Michelle, and was the winner of 51-3 at the Poconos. So an odd thing there. James picking up the drive for Aki Svanstedt, and it was on the half-sister to Princess Dream. She raced well again. She'll come back next week. Now, the next day was also cool. Great day at the track. Blue Ventura won a Stallion Series. I did not think he would do that. Now, when the draw came out and I saw the entries, I said, I just got shot. But, man, he raced very, very good. This is 2 in a row for this horse. He's really put it together well. Drebin finished second in 54, raced awesome. And JK Victory finished second in 50-3, 26-3 on the end of it. But coming off a bit of a shell-shock performance in his last 5, can't really blame the horse for that. I'm sure he'll bounce back well now. And Foxy Seaside didn't race good, but she'll be heading back she's in Northfield right now. She'll be heading over to the Meadows to rejoin Tim's barn. We'll see if we can get a couple of races into her, get her back on the straight and narrow. We talked about yesterday in depth Rock Shining Star and Save America raced great in the Gold Cup, ready for landing. Disappointing break from him. We're going to give him a few weeks off and qualify him without the hobbles on after that. 3 Point Blue Chip raced fantastic. Stay close. Did everything he could from post 9. Time is on my side. It's so intriguing to watch this horse grow up and mature and become a good racehorse. Lonely Lakewood has found a good class. He was a winner again at the expense of Prince Charmer, who's the favorite and made a break in the first turn. Got to stay away from the breaks. Can't break rule number 1 with Prince Charmer. And Aunt Lily raced absolutely tremendously. Now, that's not the end of our weekend. Kings County's going to make his first start in Minnesota today. Arrowhead Hanover's going to race in Philadelphia today. So will Manhattan Money. And then can't forget about Kentucky, right? Memento Mori, Gaslight Hall, and West Lemuria are all a race today. I'm super excited about it. Can't wait to see these horses race today. So with that, that's your opening. Obviously a little deflated, less enthusiasm. The wounds are still somewhat fresh from missing my flight yesterday, but as I said in my post on Facebook, my loss was a young man's gain. And Adam Erner drove the horse perfectly, very professionally, showed a lot of poise under a pretty stressful situation. And I was pleased with what I saw from him and from the horse. The takeaway for me is we got a couple of really nice horses returning to Ontario and Northfield from Prince Edward Island. And hey, if I ever miss another flight for the Gold Cup, I guess we know who can fill it. So almost to the point where we can laugh about it. Still a little fresh in my memory, but you know what? The stable's a big machine, and it is going to move forward. And yesterday is yesterday, today is today, and I'm going to focus on that and tomorrow. So with that, I'm going to let you go. I hope you guys had a wonderful week. I did have a wonderful week. Yes, I missed the Gold Cup, and it sucked. But our horses continue to race good, and that is the most important thing. So take care. I'll talk to you all very soon. Have a wonderful Sunday.